the entire reason is so that you can get data and get access to what we're finding in real time, so you can make safety change immediately and not wait till the end of our investigation to do that safety change. When did the formation flight occur?
May 15th.
May 15th. So I'm a little bit confused. You have this formation flight, you know the discrepancies. What is the Army doing with the Limas, either at the battalion or the fleet, to address this? Do you plan, did you test the other helicopters, or the other Limas at the battalion?
So when
yes or no? Did you test the other Limas at the at the 12th Battalion to look at whether there were any discrepancies outside of what you would anticipate?
I'd have to defer to the 12th Aviation Brigade for their maintenance schedule.
Okay, how about Army-wide?
So when we discovered the discrepancies on May 15th with some of the altitude, we queried our Sikorsky friends and got the data. We verified that the data wasn't...
Wait. When was that data obtained by you?
The Sikorsky data?
Mm.
So it was obtained in 1983. We have a model-based...
No, that you just asked for.
That was the 50-foot ESSS error, or external source support error.
Ma'am, I can speak to that.
Thank you.
So it came out of the factual report that came from one of the exhibits here that Sikorsky had provided input to, and we then went through the history of that, and we looked at a number of potential contributors. We wanted to make sure that that error existed in 1983. Mm-hmm. We confirmed that. We wanted to make sure that that error still exists, because there have been some changes to the aircraft over time. Went back through our airspeed calibration records, through some other, investigated some other questions to make sure that in fact that error exists. We have, right before this hearing, have gone through all our models and verified that we believe that that error exists.
Which error specifically?
And I'm speaking to the position error for the external storage support system with one tank on each side. So that position error of about 40 feet at 80 knots and about 50 feet at 100 knots.
Okay, so you mentioned, so you do not actually plan to test the other Limas to see if there are any unanticipated discrepancies in barometric altimeters?
So based on the flight test records we have today, we don't see a need to test the Limas, because the configurations are standard across the fleet.
Do you have, is there other airspace, anywhere in the national airspace where this may be similar? Have you checked?
Ma'am, we did do a search to look to see if there had been any safety incidents on the Black Hawk related to the pitot-static system. We did not find any.
Did you work with FAA to look at the glide slope for any landing aircraft to make sure at any runway at other airports across the nation where you might have this same issue?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So policy-wise, you said you're putting something in a flight manual?
So there's several courses of action that could happen based on the recommendation from our airworthiness organization. We could update the flight manual to include the air table, the air altitude correction table. We could put out an airworthiness release. Okay, I'm running out of time.
I want you to walk us through when that started, what each of the steps are to get to the end of that, to where you have a policy and a manual, or whatever the recommendations are in the airworthiness group. What are each of the steps, and when will that occur? How many steps? I mean, not just how many. Walk us through that process.
Sure.
Ma'am, so the moment it was identified, the first step was making sure that in fact that error did exist, and that was going through all of our models. That's complete. We've looked at a number of things to try to make sure that that error hasn't been changed over time, and we've verified that. So that analysis is complete. Our aeromechanics our aeromechanics group inside our airworthiness organization, has completed the analysis. They should be providing the recommendation back over to the program office to provide our recommendation for what should be added to an operator's manual, or how the pilot should be made aware of that that altimeter correction for the ESSS configuration, and then that'll go into the PM office for decision.
Then there will be a system safety working group that'll determine if there needs to be a aviation safety action message for immediate notification, or if it will go into a 2028 process to update the technical publications, or if it'll go in an airworthiness release. So that would be the third and fourth final step.
How long will that take?
Once we get the memo back, so the recommendation, we can convene within a week, and then following the SysWig, we can determine, if it's an aviation safety action message, and that's coordinated through our Aviation and Missile Command, and that can happen within days. And if it's updated into a manual, we'd first put it in the AWR. Again, that's within days to weeks. If it goes into the manual, the 2028 process, there's a little bit longer, but we would put it in the AWR first so it's notified, and then the manual change would come out following that.
Okay. I need, how long do you believe this entire process will be?
So from today, being, let's say, July, the end of July, so by the end of August, the SysWig should have met, and so early September, we should have the direction that'll come out of the System Safety Working Group, and then that'll determine the ASAM, the AWR, and/or the manual path.
Okay.
So September 15th ballpark.
And that's just the recommendation?
No, that's for the final action.
That is for the final action?
With the caveat that if it is determined to update the manual, that would take a longer process. The AWR would go out in the interim until the operator's manual is updated.
Thank you.
I got a couple questions on the flight data recorder. As part of our investigation up to this point, radio keying was supposed to be recorded per the recorder documentation, but that data was not present. Do we know why?
So we sent a team down to a unit in Alabama and verified that data is not being downloaded. We're currently investigating that, and we don't know why that data is currently not being downloaded or not being input into the system. So it's an open issue that we're investigating.
Okay, and I assume our investigative team's tied in with that as when you guys know something?
Yes, sir. We would let them know
Okay.
when we find something out.
Yeah, for you, Mr. Rosengren, you indicated the accuracy of the flight data recorders are checked whenever there's a software upgrade. How often are there software upgrades?
So for the for this particular system, there was a substantial software update in 2011, and then there was minor updates in 2013, 2015, and 2017, and we're currently undergoing an effort to make another software upgrade right now.
Okay. And you did mention something about there was some thought behind doing a FOQA program with the flight data recorders, is that correct?
Yes, sir. We had an aviation data exploitation capability program back in the mid 2010s. That didn't come to fruition.
Okay. Do we know why it didn't?
I can't speak to the decision of the acquisition professionals, but I believe it just didn't make it past the certain checkpoints during acquisition programs.
Okay, thank you for that. That's all the questions I have for this panel. I want to thank the witnesses.
Member Inman.
Thank you, Chair. Mr. Rosenberg, I'm going to go back one more time. You're saying middle of September, you're going to inform or hope to inform Army aviators of what?
If there's a change for the altitude with external storage support system on the aircraft, if there's a recommended delta altitude discrepancy.
Yeah, see, I think, Chair, and I can just, let me clarify one thing too, and I want to point this out. The parties that have been involved with us from the Army have been very helpful and I think worked with us very well. I think that was discussed earlier. So we're appreciative of this. This is the first time we're actually interacting with you all as witnesses, which is, I think, is probably some of our frustration of what we're hearing in this testimony. And the reason I bring that up is, in a personal sense, I used to live at 400 Army Navy Drive when this crash occurred. I looked out over the Pentagon, DCA. Chair and I stood on runway 33 the night that this accident happened. I moved. I moved to McLean specifically so I wouldn't have to face that and my wife wouldn't have to see me wake up in the middle of the night. Whenever I moved to McLean, though, I found out after being there the last 2 weeks, I'm on one of your flight paths over 495. Over the last weekend, 5 of those Limas flew behind my house. And you're telling me it's going to be 2 months before you tell them that there's a discrepancy in their altitude? Could you hurry it up?
Yes, sir. We would do, that's a worst case scenario. We'll do everything to exceed that time frame.